Hey, what's up guys? This is Joe from Analog Archive back with another vinyl video. Today's video is going to be another contribution to the Blue Note 4000 series, and it's actually moved into the 4100 series that just started a few days ago. As I had said in the first video that I had made for this series back in probably April, all of the videos can be found on Julius Jabbar Sherv's page. He has a playlist, and he's actually made a new playlist for the 4100 series. So make sure that you kind of link that to your profile if you're interested in keeping up with the videos. The one that I've been I asked to do because I really love this album is 4106. Let Freedom Ring, Jackie McLean. So this has Jackie McLean on alto sax, Walter Davis Jr. on piano, Herbie Lewis on bass, and Billy Higgins on the drums. And Walter Davis Jr., Billy Higgins have worked with Jackie McLean before. They were both on his Blue Note 4089 album, A Fickle Sonnets, that Rob from Soundstrains had shown off. So they were acquainted with each other quite a bit already. They'd also worked on Davis Cup that I had actually shown off earlier in the 4000 series. Walter Davis Jr., Jackie McLean had, Billy Higgins hadn't. But Herbie Lewis was kind of the new addition for this album. The title kind of has really a lot of different meanings, but really the main meaning is really the fact that Jackie McLean was really trying to explore the different sounds that he could make with his saxophone, and to really just let it all out and see what kind of happens and what sounds can be produced. Of all the Jackie McLean albums that I've heard and that I've owned, that I've kind of acquired into my collection, this one is probably my favorite album. He's just a monster on the alto sax on this. He absolutely blows it away. There are times where he really is testing the kind of sonic ability of his saxophone. But as it says in the liner notes, along with what people have said that have reviewed this album before, or just shown off this album on like Instagram or on Facebook, he always seems to come back to that hard bop foundation, that sound that he really became known for very well starting in the 50s. So as I said, this is an unbelievable album. There are 4 songs on it, 2 on each side. He wrote 3 of the 4 tracks. The opening song, Melody for Melanie, and then the 2 songs that are on the B-side, Renee and Omega. The only song that he didn't write is the closing song on the A-side called I'll Keep Loving You. That was a Bud Powell composition. That's also the only song that's a ballad. The other 3 are much more upbeat and pretty quick tempo. The opening song, also Melody for Melanie, there was a version of that was done on Kenny Dorham's Matador album that came out around the same time as this. I think that was recorded around the same time in 62, maybe 63. And the release was around that same time. I think like 63, maybe 64 at the latest. But yeah, there was a version of that. It has a pretty similar sound to it. The solos that were taken are different than this, than was on this version, but it is a great song, and probably my favorite overall. And another one that's really great is the closing song on the B side called Omega. Again, that is a Jackie McLean original, and actually the 3 songs that he had written were all, he wrote them kind of for his family. So it was Melanie was the name of his daughter, and all this is explained kind of on the back, but I don't exactly. Yeah, Melanie was his daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. Renee was for his son, who was studying alto saxophone at the time, and who actually in the 70s would become a somewhat of a prominent figure on the jazz scene, kind of following in his father's footsteps. And then that closing song, Omega, was written for his mother. And it says her name was Alpha Omega McLean. So the Omega part was obviously where the title came from. So just a lot of respect for his family, really showing thanks for his children along with his mother. But yeah, that Omega track starts with a great bass line by Herbie Lewis, and it's really driving real fast, and it has a real enjoyable sound to it. I'm not a huge fan of the bass. I understand the importance of it in jazz, but when it comes to the solos, a lot of bass solos are just they leave a lot to kind of be desired. But there are numerous people like Charles Mingus, who really can wow me, at least when it comes to bass. And Herbie Lewis on this record, he doesn't have any solos on it, or on the album overall, but he does contribute with quite a few real strong bass lines that are really driving the song over, or driving the album overall. Billy Higgins on the drums does a great job as well. Again, he doesn't really get a solo, and really Jackie McLean is on like 80% of each song is just him playing. Walter Davis Jr. does get a solo on 3 of the 4. I'll Keep Loving You is the only one that he doesn't get a solo on. And so this is really almost like a solo record for Jackie McLean, but he really wouldn't be, the album wouldn't really be driving as much without Herbie Lewis and Billy Higgins, along with the great piano playing by Walter Davis Jr. So, as I said, a really great album overall. If you don't have this in your collection, you really need this. Again, it does start to tiptoe into the free jazz, the avant-garde sound, but it always seems to come back to that hard bop, and this album is really strong, real fiery, and Jackie McLean definitely had a lot to say on this. I got this one recently, the last few months, and I've really enjoyed it since I got it. It is an original mono on New York USA labels. The side A has kind of a little bit of water damage. The B side is much more kind of normal looking, but it plays great. An absolute great sound to it, and it's one that you seem to be able to find some version of it in most record stores. I know since I found this one at I got this at Bop Shop Records in Rochester, that I've talked about quite a bit, being a great record store and great for jazz. I've seen it there. I've seen 2 or 3 other copies, mostly 70s and on, but this is an album that was pressed a few times in the 70s and then into the 80s as well. I'm not familiar with any more recent ones. There may be a 75th one, but yeah, find whatever way you can to listen to this album. It'll blow you away. Again, I'm not a huge avant-garde free jazz person. I kind of don't really, that's not really my lane, but I do really enjoy this album, and unbelievable playing, Jackie McLean. Love Walter Davis Jr. that he's on this. He's a great piano player, someone that really never got a lot of time or a lot of albums to really show what he had. I think he only had Davis Cup, 4018, I think it was. Might be wrong with that, but he wasn't really given much of a chance. He did have some Sidemen records like this one, but by the time shortly after this, he really wasn't doing much. Herbie Lewis, I want to say I've seen him on another album or so, but I can't think of that. And then obviously Billy Higgins was a huge drummer in the 60s on Blue Note. That was kind of his time, was early 60s. Fickle Sonnets may have been one of his earlier records. And again, I'm not terribly familiar with where his career began on Blue Note. I know I have a few records with him on it, and he always is doing a great job with his drumming. So again, definitely recommend this. 4000, 4106, Let Freedom Ring, Jackie McLean. I forgot to say when it was recorded, when it was released. So it was recorded in March 1962, and then was released the following May 1963. So yeah, right in Jackie McLean's kind of starting to get a little bit later as he moved more into the free jazz sound. Shortly after this, he would do One Step Beyond, Destination Out. I think One Step Beyond was the one that was after this. And then he did Destination Out. And then he started moving more into the post-bop and almost getting back to his hard bop roots after that, with like Right Now, It's Time, albums like that, which are both enjoyable as well. So again, Let Freedom Ring, Jackie McLean, Blue Note 4000, 4106. Thanks again to Sheriff, Julius Jabbar, Rob at Sound Strange, and Dave at Local Bandography for allowing me to continue to be part of this great Blue Note 4000 series and beyond. I really enjoy talking about Blue Note records. That's kind of where my jazz career started, and I really enjoy doing the videos, and I look forward to being able to do more in the future. If you like this, please think about subscribing, liking the video. Really enjoy seeing the comments and kind of being able to interact with people, and I'll see you in the next vinyl video. Bye.